Can a single day of testing in the rain rewrite the entire narrative of a Formula One season? What if I told you that Lewis Hamilton could have activated the revolution that Ferrari had been waiting for years? 2025 was, without a doubt, a season that will be marked as one of the worst in the career of the seven-time world champion. Lewis Hamilton, in making the decision to leave Mercedes and join Ferrari, was not just changing colors. I was taking a leap into the unknown. A completely different territory in terms of operational dynamics, technical culture, and development philosophy. At first glance, the union of a living legend with the most legendary team in history seemed like a story written for success. But what was experienced was the opposite. A deeply frustrating experience, both personally and sportingly. Hamilton finished the season without finishing on the podium a single time. This, for any driver on the grid, would be dramatic. But for someone who had not experienced a season without podiums since his debut in 2007, it was a true catastrophe. And the worst thing was not just the lack of results. It was the inability to find harmony with the car. The SF-25 proved to be an unstable machine, difficult to read and completely unpredictable in its behavior between qualifying and the race. The difference in performance between one batch and another was abysmal. The car seemed to have a life of its own. In qualifying, Hamilton was surpassed by Charles Leclerc on 19 of the 24 dates. On many weekends, the difference between the two was not a tenth. It was 3 for even half a second. Something unusual, unacceptable for a champion of his stature. In the race, things did not improve. Race pace was inconsistent, strategies failed time and time again, and frustration grew. Hamilton went on to declare that he had never felt so disconnected from a Formula One car. A message that hurt, not only for the Tifosi but also for the Maranello engineers who had been working on that car for months. Ferrari team boss Frédéric Vasseur acknowledged at the end of the year that he himself had underestimated the magnitude of the change. "Personally, I underestimated the move from Mercedes to Ferrari," he admitted bluntly. "It's not that we're doing things worse. It's that we just do everything differently." This statement revealed something profound. Hamilton had not found an environment that suited his working method. Each software was different. The data interfaces did not respond the same. The way of giving feedback, the engineering meetings, even the track routines were completely different. And for a driver whose ability to control every element of the car is essential, this transition was like learning to race with a map in another language. Every detail counts in Formula One. The choice of gears on a given section of the circuit, the way the car responds to engine braking, the interpretation of tire temperature, confidence in the balance. All of this, if not perfectly aligned, generates an invisible but lethal loss. In 2025, Hamilton felt he was losing tenths not because he was slow, but because the entire system was not calibrated for his style. And that, in a category where a tenth can separate pole position from 14th place, is devastating. The situation reached such a point that in the last race of the year in Abu Dhabi, a single tenth in qualifying separated 5th position from 15th. In that microscopic margin, Ferrari and Hamilton experienced a technical tragedy week after week. And the worst thing is that it wasn't for lack of effort. Both sides were dedicated. But simply, the bridge between driver and car had not been built correctly. 2025 wasn't just a bad year. It was a year of warning. A call for attention. A fiery test that pushed both Hamilton and Ferrari to the limit. And given that gloomy outlook, what happened in January 2026 during the tire test of the new SF-26 was not only a surprise. It was a cry of hope in the midst of a technical darkness that seemed to have no end. Barcelona, January 27, 2026. Circuit de Catalunya. Second day of private tests. The track conditions were extreme. A dense rain fell without respite, and the completely gray sky enveloped the route as if the atmosphere itself wanted to test the mettle of each mechanical and human component present there. In this scenario, everything indicated that the day would be simple routine, perhaps useful only to calibrate electronic systems underwater and extract aerodynamic load data in low adhesion conditions. However, what was about to happen reconfigured the technical and emotional map within Ferrari. Lewis Hamilton left the pit in the third session of the day, this time with a race simulation program in the rain. The team expected installation laps, progressive, perhaps unrepresentative times. But what happened was something else. From the first curves, the data began to positively alarm the wall. Minimum curve speed higher than expected, non-existent steering corrections, absolute control of the hybrid torque in slippery areas. As the laps passed, the engineers at Maranello began reviewing the telemetry in disbelief. What they were seeing was not only unusual, it was unpublished. The SF-26, a completely new car, conceived for the radical 2026 regulations, responded with surgical precision to Hamilton's every order. And the most shocking thing, the British driver, after having suffered a total disconnection throughout 2025, was managing to fully exploit the hybrid architecture of the new car in adverse conditions. No margin of error, no grip, no visibility. The understanding between pilot and machine had been born in the worst of scenarios, and yet it was perfect. Frédéric Vasseur, team leader, watched from the wall with headphones on. Unlike other sessions where body language was contained, that day he got up from his seat, consulted directly with the telemetry technicians, asked for data comparisons with Leclerc, even requested overlays in real time. What I was seeing was not normal. According to internal Maranello sources, his expression was one of absolute disbelief. Upon getting out of the car, Hamilton barely shared a few words with his track engineer. What he had felt was different. For the first time in over a year, the car was not an enemy. It was an extension of his hands. But to understand the magnitude of what happened, we must analyze the technical factors that made this possible. The SF-26 is not a simple evolution of the previous car. It is the result of a total re-engineering that responds to the new 2026 regulation. Unlike the SF-25, which suffered from excess weight, chronic understeer in slow corners and unpredictable electronics, the SF-26 adopts a minimalist approach. Total weight of 770 kilograms, only 2 above the regulatory limit. The car integrates a 185 kilograms hybrid V6 power unit, heavier than the previous year, and still manages to compensate thanks to an aggressive reduction in each structural component. Ferrari implemented a shorter wheelbase, ultralight materials, new suspension geometry, and a non-simultaneous active aerodynamic system, designed to modify the load depending on the phase of the circuit. But what makes the SF-26 special is not only its physique, but its brain. The hybrid system has gone from being a mere assistant to a co-star. The MGUK triples its power compared to 2025, reaching 350 kilowatts. Half the power now comes from the batteries. Every curve is an energy dilemma. Every stop is an opportunity to recharge. And every millisecond of deployment turns into pure gold in the fight for pole. Hamilton understood that immediately. He adapted his style, mentally programming the curves as blocks of energy and not just of layout. It used electric torque as controlled traction, as a natural anti-slip system. He managed loading and unloading with an intuition that only champions possess. The telemetry showed an energy efficiency 12% higher than that of Leclerc in equivalent runs. But beyond the numbers, what perplexed all of Ferrari was the visual fluidity of Hamilton's driving. I didn't skate. He didn't correct. I didn't need to do it. The car just responded. The technicians began to quietly call it the moment, because they knew that that day marked a complete break with the painful past of 2025. It was the first time Hamilton smiled inside SF-26. And Vasseur knew it. That smile in silence was more powerful than any pole position. It was proof that finally driver and car spoke the same language. In a sport so cruel to time, where the past is quickly forgotten and the future arrives too soon, that day in Barcelona was not a simple technical test. It was a revelation. Ferrari may have found, in the rain, in the mud, in adversity, the beginning of its redemption. And with Hamilton at the wheel, history could be starting to change. What is coming for Ferrari is not a simple opportunity for redemption. It is the beginning of a deep, structural, and philosophical transformation. The SF-26 is not just another single-seater. It is a declaration of intent. It represents the first car built entirely under the leadership of Frédéric Vasseur, with a technical DNA rewritten from the ground up and with a clear objective: to return Ferrari to the dominance it has not achieved for more than a decade. And in that process, Lewis Hamilton could become not the driver who sought to close his career with dignity, but the architect of a new era. This car was not designed as a response to immediate failure, but as a long-term vision. Its aerodynamic approach, with the dual-phase active system, straight mode and curve mode, allows it to dynamically adapt to the circuit without depending on the old DRS. This not only improves top speed, but offers an unprecedented level of control when exiting corners, reducing the need for manual driver intervention. Aerodynamics is no longer a limitation. It is a strategic weapon in itself. The weight distribution of the SF-26 has been rebalanced to allow for more flexible ballast placement. This gives engineers a tactical advantage in adjusting the overall balance of the car depending on the track, tire type, or even the specific style of the driver. And that's where Hamilton comes in. No one on the grid is more meticulous about technical details. His way of working requires a platform that allows him to fine-tune the car to the millimeter. Ferrari has finally delivered that. But the most important thing is not what the SF-26 has, but what it represents. For the first time since Michael Schumacher led the golden era of the early 2000s, Ferrari has gone all in on an outside figure with a clear vision and direct influence on the development of the car. Hamilton is not just a driver. It has become the meeting point between modern engineering, elite competitive experience, and the demand for immediate results. His incorporation into the team was much more than a media move. It was a cultural change. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.